Hello, the game has started. It's my opponent to go first. I have a balanced rack, but a lot of high-scoring tiles, so no bingo here, although I am only one tile away from showbiz. So I have a number of ways of sorting this rack out. Whiz, I think, is the best, leaving a rack leave of BLO. But I also have Biz on my rack. And there may be other options. I would have Zowie onto an E, but that's keeping two of the high-scoring tiles, and I'd like to play off at least as many high-scoring tiles such that I have no more than one remaining, and I'm not going to be able to play off BHW and Z. Great, Whiz does play in column 7. Higher up. Do I have any other options? Foil only takes an E. Just checking these floaters in case anything amazing is available. Well, I do have Whiz in row I, but that's not going to score as well as Whiz in this spot for 37. Well, that looks a little more bingo-y, but I'm not seeing a 7. And not too many floaters, just the W and the L. I have the oid ending. The two letter set's not particularly useful. If does take an F at the end. So, how to sort this rack out? Zo takes D and A. And that remains available. Lux takes an E, which I don't have. But I do have an I for going underneath it. What goes underneath you? Nothing that I've got. What begins with I? Nothing amazing. So let me consider column 6. Do I have anything beginning DA? I think Dali is good. For 26. Yeah. Okay, I had a slight doubt about that because obviously Dali is a proper name of an artist. I lead by 20. I would have Bullhorn through an H, still one to come. Nothing through the W. Dali only takes an S. And I have a U for going underneath the X, which just about remains available. Great, just 8 points for opponent, and he's not setting up anything amazing. Tug only takes an S. So I could play Gull, keeping Born. Lazo is good, but I don't have a vowel, which goes in front of the L. What about a play through this W? And it would be nice to play off B, L, and U. That looks a bit optimistic. Now, do I have a 5-letter play ending in O? No. So, what about playing Bull? And this is mainly about sorting the rack out. Bull takes quite a number of hooks at the end. A and S and Y. So an alternative would be Bowl. Let me just put this back. Just wondering about a play through the W. I don't think Unblow is good. Gull. 19 points. Bull, 16. I'm going with Bull. I don't like retaining the B. It's non-bingoing. Okay, and I draw all 1-point tiles with duplicates, so unless I have a bingo, I'm going to struggle to score, and I don't think I do have one. Do I have a Well, I was going to look for a 5-letter play in column 8. That only works now with an S. So I do have an E. Great. Well, I might as well use the Lux hook. So I can play area for 19. I could play arena for 1 more. Is there really no bingo here? Floating L doesn't look good. And what about a play in column 11 which uses the O? So O, A, R and E. Not seeing a play. NOR doesn't feel a particularly bingo-y keep. I no longer have a vowel which goes under the X. 15 minutes on my clock. Area puts an A next to this double letter square, so it's inviting a high-scoring play in row H. I could play Reno, but that keeps duplicate A. What a tricky position to be in. I'm reluctant to stick an A on the end of bull. It provides too much for opponent. Well, this feels really bad. I think I will make it 1 square better with a near for 21. Wow, pretty grim. And I'm glad I played off the N because I've drawn 2 more of them. I do have Vrow, which I can play in column 12, but row H is the obvious spot for opponent to play, but he hasn't played there. Fantastic. So, just checking to see if I have a bingo. I was thinking of non-woven, but that doesn't quite work. This is what I'm thinking of. Vrow, 23. It's. Let me put this back. Do I have anything through this A? Don't think I do. It would be nice to play off V, W, N and O. I think I'd need an E for woven. Luxor is good. So I could play worn. This is interesting. It's 36 points. The V isn't the worst tile in the world. Still 1 more to come. I think this is a better play. Worn for 36. Gosh. I keep drawing ends. And just the 1 vowel, so I'm fortunate that I am currently in the lead. Not sure how long that's going to last. This is a tricky rack to sort out. All these E's to come. One of those would be useful in the open for me to play proven. But supposing the board remains as it is, what can I do? Well, I guess I have the V for score. Only the floating O in terms of floating vowels. And I'm struggling to see any V plays on my rack. And I certainly want to sort out the duplicate N. I may end up retaining the V for 1 more turn. Opponent taking an ominous amount of time on this play. Are they about to bingo? Anir takes an S. Great, just 7 points for opponent. E not in a great spot for me. So, how can I score? And I'm wondering if I've got an overlap through here. I have Pronto to the left. That doesn't score very much. I have Roton, but that keeps... Proton. Yeah, that's all good. 25 points. That's fine. Okay, bit of blue sky with this rack. It looks a lot closer to a bingo than my previous few. And I think that's a reflection on how poor my racks have been when I look in gratitude at a rack with U and V on it. So I have the over prefix with AUN. I don't think I have a bingo. Now, do I have maneuver? Something tells me I don't. I think the O only features in 9-letter plays. Yeah, I don't think I do have maneuver. So, do I have anything with the L? Not seeing anything. Look at this, just 30 points lead. And I mentioned that in the light of opponent playing plays like side for 7 and tug for 8. I'm still unable to put anything between opponent and myself. Now, 18 for opponent burns a lot of bingo-y tiles. How can I sort this rack out in one? So no floating E for oeuvre. I could play value. I could play valor. Interesting. This turns over quite a lot of tiles. Only 37 tiles in the bag. And 2 blanks to come. So quite a good idea turning over a lot of tiles. 20 points isn't terrible. EN is a decent rack leave, although I could get swamped in ease. Opponent's going to be attracted to play in column 8, which is not a bingo, is unlikely to score a lot, and will provide a new floater. Medusa takes EN and S at the end. So although EN is a good 2-letter set, it's a bit optimistic to expect a bingo, but I think I want to introduce some volatility into this game. I do have a ratings advantage over my opponent. Well, not great, but not terrible either. I have the H for score. That goes underneath the U of Medusa. So I could play Oh-Ho, keeping Dean. And that's a decent 4-letter set. And this is how you get close to a bingo. You keep a decent 2-letter set, EN, then you keep a decent 4-letter set, ADEN, and suddenly you are in bingo territory. Now, what I didn't consider last turn was a 6-letter play in row A. So I kept EN. Not sure there was one, but I should have considered it. I have the hood suffix with ANE. That's not suggesting anything. I don't think I have anything down the bottom myself. Do I have anything through AW? I don't. So at the moment I'm looking at Oh-Ho, which doesn't obstruct any bingo lanes and sorts the rack out. And scores more than 25 points. JO is also good. So I could play Who and JO. That feels like it's a little too risky. Opponent did burn the S quite cheaply, and Who takes an S in front. I could play, and this is a serious possibility, I could play Oh-Hone rather than Oh-Ho. Oh-Hone does not take an S, and I'm turning over tiles, and I really do have an eye on these blanks. My lead is pretty slender. And if opponent has both of those blanks on separate racks, 2 bingos could well be enough for him to win the game. Still the cue to come. two Y's, a V, and I'm looking at the non-bingo-y tiles and the F. Also a ton of vowels, which although they're bingo-y, they're not if they're triplicates on your rack. Ohone also scores more than Oho. I would be taking out the hooks for Medusa, but given that I'm in the lead, some dampening of the board is fine. There still are bingo lanes, although not many. That's interesting. Maybe I can snuff out all the bingo lanes and just outscore opponent. A hone kills the top right, and then really there's just row N. And that's not going to stay open for long. Now my H could go underneath this O. Now, did I make a mistake last turn by playing Valor in this position rather than one square higher up? Gosh, I'm too late for stopping opponent from bingoing. He has done so. 75 points. I have Hood. I'm just wondering about Hound. And it's good. Fantastic. 56 points, so I retain the lead. Pretty grim rack. And disappointing. Still both blanks to come. I've got Vigia on my rack, which I could play in row F, but sticking a V in the middle of column 1, not great. So I was wondering, maybe I should have played Valor in row L, making this double letter square less volatile, and avoiding placing an O above a triple letter square. That would have left alone, however, row N as a bingo lane. Now I do have this super slender lead. Now I can play Vigia in row C, Vigia and Par. I'm tempted by that. V and I, not the most useful floaters in the world. And I have to be turning over tiles, I think. These unplayed blanks are too desirable to miss. Now opponents played Prim, 33. This is what I'm thinking of. I trail by 20, so this is going to bring us dead level, and I'm drawing a third of the remaining tiles. One slight downside is that I'm playing off eyes with a Q still to come, and no obvious spots for the Q, apart from just the eye of Vigia. I'm going with this. I do draw one of the blanks, which is good, and have the Y for score. Still Q, F and B to come, so, and Y, and I'm looking at opponent's bingo prospects. Look at this, just 2 points between us. This is going to be one of the lowest scoring games on record. I can see Yogi with an I and 2 E's on my rack. Nowhere obvious to play those. All the S's have gone. I do have Yogi at the bottom, but I'm not. I have Yogi in column 12. Interesting. Because that takes a C and there's a C to come. And I would be, opponent's gone there. Only 13 points, 8 tiles in the bag. I could play Yogi in column 4. 24 points. Let me see, 10 minutes on my clock, so there's absolutely tons of time. But what's the right play? Is Valerie good? Only 28 points. However, I've got one blank, and I want to avoid Q, F and B. Valerie may not be good, and it's not. So, good grief, thank goodness that wasn't good. I have Yogi here for 40 points. Wow, what am I thinking? And this is a decent rack leave. I'm keeping the I for the Q. I'm getting rid of the E's in anticipation of drawing one. So I am going with this. Yogi for 40. And I miss the second blank, but I also miss the Q, which is great. Q and Y, non-bingo-y tiles, but this is a pretty non-bingo-y board, just the floating V and I and M, neither of which are amazing. So I lead by 29 points. Can I stay ahead and, in a way, B and F are good? I've given up hopes on bingoing, but I'm hopeful that I can simply outrun opponent. But can I? Plenty of time, fortunately, in case this becomes grim. Orb and Off are both good, and Buller is good. So I was going to say I have Fab, but AF not good. But I do have AB, and I'm hesitant because I think Buller takes an E, which I wouldn't want to set up. Yeah, I can't play F and B there. I don't have to play F and B in one go, but it may be best for score. Not seeing any four-letter extensions of side. I saw Ciderkin earlier, but I'd never had the tiles for that. If opponent doesn't have the Q, he may be close to a bingo, especially through this I. Both V's sticking out into the open. Fab is the only FB word I've seen, and that leaves 3 vowels, only 3 tiles in the bag. So maybe a play like FAA or BAA would give me more options. But where can either of those play? 4 is good. That doesn't work. I don't have anything to go on the end of Tice. Wow, opponent. Well, look at this. Opponent bingos. He's got a 29-point lead. He's got QEY. Can he play the Q? He's blocked the Eye of Vitya. Is there anywhere for his Q? And I think the E and Y are not going to help him. 8 minutes on my clock. Let me look at this fairly methodically. I'm keeping an eye out for U's and I's. I just note that diff takes an F. QU. Wow, he would have QUEY. Darley doesn't take an E. Okay, opponent cannot play his Q. I don't think. If he can, he wins. But I don't think he can. So I get 20 points for that at the end. But opponent may be able to score a lot with his Y. So he could play YE, for example, and then even with the Q, I may not win. So, what if I play far? What can opponent do? That's 30 points. That puts me in the lead. 7 minutes on my clock. What can he do? I think he can play YE for 29 points. But can I then go out? I don't really want to give opponent that many points, but can he score something similar with his Y elsewhere? I don't think he can, so I am gifting opponent something really nice. Let me put this back. What do I have across here? Wow, this is tough. I really struggle in these end games. They look so obvious when you analyse them afterwards, and they're anything but in the heat of battle. Let me go back to that, because if I can see a winning run, I might as well go for it. Opponent plays Yi for a lot. But can I go out with Bayer? Where is my out? Well, I don't need to go out. I can go out slowly. I can play ab and buller. That does the job. I think I am going with far for 30. What am I gifting my opponent? Let me just momentarily pause. Does he really have nowhere for his cue? All of my thinking is premised on opponent being cue stuck, but is he? This will be terrible if I've overlooked a cue spot, because there's unlikely to be more than one, so if there's one, it's probably blockable. No, I'm just not seeing a cue spot. Let's find out. And my plan at the moment is to play ab. I'm thinking opponent will play ye. So much pain waiting for this cue to be played in somewhere I haven't seen. Gosh, ENQU. That's close. I didn't consider that. 8 minutes on opponent's clock. I do have bias and spar, so I do have an out in one. Baiga and nar is also good, but that's not an out. I certainly have an out in column 1 with bias and ban. And look at these scores. Neither of us over 330 points. This is tragically low scoring. But it's not about the score, it's about winning. Yeah. Opponent takes... So I think opponent is now cue stuck. So I play A, then I play ab, and it goes like that. So actually, I'm going to play ab in one go. I'm not sure it makes any difference to the score. Have I given opponent a spot for his cue? I have not. I now trail by 1. This is the moment when opponent has to pass if he's stuck. Then I have I and blank. So where can I go out with I and blank? Where's the best spot for my I? Why hasn't opponent passed? Just looking for the best I spot. He has passed. Fantastic. So I have it for 4. I have giant for 15. That doesn't give opponent a cue spot. Okay. I now go into the lead by 16 points. And I've just got my blank to play. Where's the best spot for that? Valors for 9. Lazo for 12. Just scanning the board, not seeing anything better than 12. Yeah. So, just waiting for opponent to pass. And I can play Azo. And he passes. Fantastic. So there we go, Lazo. And the final score, 357 for my opponent, 403 for me, a winning margin of 46 points, so a huge, huge win. Let's see what I missed. Wow, what a game. I thought a bingo would be enough for opponent, and then he gets cue stuck. Doesn't happen very often. So, opponent to go first, plays foil, and I have whiz for 37, which looks fine. Opponent plays Lux, and what do? I played Dali for 26, but F6. Wow, I could have played Odal. Yeah, and certainly should have done for the greater points. I didn't need to worry about whether Dali was good or not. horrible rack for opponent. Plays tug. And blown e4. Yeah, I wasn't keen on keeping the U, so what do? I play bull for 4 fewer points. Yeah, I think those moves are comparable. Opponent plays Jew. And now I struggled here because Anir provided a hotspot. But look at this. No higher points available. An opponent with 3 S's. I know the feeling. I had brasses in the last game. Opponent plays Corms, and I have this Grimrack, and I trail. And I play Worn for 36 rather, and I like that play. It takes out a hotspot and doesn't gift too much away. Wow, missed bingo, missed deeds, D8. Very tricky one to see through this M. Opponent plays side. And my rack's still grim, and I play Proton for 25, but H10, I could have played Pawnor through AW, retaining NTV, so 8 more points, keeping the T, probably worth doing. The only point I would make is that that's providing extra floaters and leaving the floaters in Corms available, and given the score situation and the rating situation, I think I benefit from a tighter board. Opponent plays Medusa. And now, wow, a wave was playable. Interesting. I play Valor for 20. Yeah, which is a little off the pace, but isn't too terrible. And opponent has got streaks, which Valor blocked in row N, so he certainly has that. But look, A14. Because of Medusa, he could have played streaks, getting the K tripled for over 100. Plays it lower for 75. And now this is my rack, and I play Hound for 56 and go back into a slender lead. Opponent plays Prim. And I have Vigia at C2, F2, Viger, keeping a vowel-heavy rack with quite a few vowels to come, so I think Vigia is fine. It also turns over 1 more tile with 2 blanks to come. Opponent plays Tick, and now I have Yogi, which I so nearly missed. Thank goodness Valerie wasn't good. That would have been really painful. So I have Yogi, and now I have a 30-point lead, and I'm hoping and praying that opponent doesn't bingo. And opponent bingos with internet. So I thought my goose was cooked, and it pretty much would have been if opponent wasn't stuck with the queue. So he's got a 29-point lead. Now F2, interesting. Burning the blank straight away with Beza. That's absolutely shocking because opponent can then play cat. So that's not the best, I don't think. I play Far for 30, which I think does the job. Look at this. No play uses the queue, so he genuinely is stuck. Plays Yi for 29. And now there are a number of outs, but I think it's best to go out slowly. So the best here scores 25. Let's see what I get. I get 27 straight off. Opponent passes. I then get another 15, so that's 42. Opponent passes. And I then get another 12, so that's 54. So I got 54 points from that final rack by going out 1 tile at a time. And the expression 1 tile at a time shouldn't be taken literally. It just means you're at your leisure to play as few or as many tiles as you like in order to maximize score. Always mindful of not providing a spot for opponent's stuck tile. And that was the end of the game. So what an amazing game. Although in the end the scores just looked like a low-scoring game, in reality the scores represented a very low-scoring game, and it was only the stuck queue which enabled me to bolt on an extra 50 at the end, because it looked like it was going to be a sub-350 game for both of us. So really quite unusual, but good fun nonetheless, and always good to be on on the winning side of a game. So many thanks to my opponent for a good game. I hope you enjoyed watching that game, and I will see you next time.